Each year in early May, people arrive from all over the country by car, bus, and train to Stowe, Vermont. They arrive for the Stowe Area Association's Weekend of Hope for cancer survivors. This event is unique because unlike most national events which focus on only one form of cancer, the Stowe Weekend of Hope is for people with all forms of cancer. Stowe, Vermont. Stowe Weekend of Hope.
Yes.
What are we doing here?
What are we doing here? Patty, Dr. O'Brien can answer that question better than I can.
This is the Stowe Weekend of Hope. It's in its 7th year, and we are all here to celebrate life, learning, and hope, which are just wonderful things for families whose lives have been touched by cancer to celebrate. So it's all about hope.
You're part of this.
Yes. So the question is, why are we here?
Why are we
Wow,
here?
existential question. Thank you.
Yes.
We are here for the Stowe Weekend of Hope for all those things that Patty has mentioned, for the healing power of, that's why we have green ribbons, because of the healing power of the Green Mountains, environmental concerns, and so on and so forth. We are here for people, so many reasons. People can talk to each other, and they are in a safe place to talk to each other. As we had talked about with someone earlier, sometimes cancer survivors, as Patty has taught me, everyone is a survivor. If they've had cancer and they're alive, they are cancer survivors, so that's why we call them cancer survivors instead of patients. But sometimes they're afraid to come out in their own community, or they don't feel safe. And this is a place where they are safe, and they will find doctors that they can talk to, specialists, especially each other. And that happens and has been life-altering over and over again. We hear stories where people have, and that's one thing we've done this year on the name tags. We have put the kinds of cancer on the name tags, so with people's permission, obviously, so that they can connect with other people through that and find out maybe some alternative therapy or some kind of treatment that they haven't tried or didn't know. So those are all reasons why they're here. And sometimes, as we talked about before, sometimes you just come here because you need to sit and do nothing with your family. You might sit in your hotel room and pray. If that's what you need, then that's what we've got for you.
And how did this get started?
Well, this is a very organic process. It's a little bit different each year because it's really dependent upon volunteer energy. It's dependent upon grassroots. And so, as seasons change, it will grow a little bit differently. But basically, it started off with Joe representing Stowe Area Association and myself representing the Vermont Cancer Center and Fletcher Allen Hospital and hematologists and oncologists, people putting their energy together and saying, what can we grow for families coping with cancer? So we wanted to create something that would utilize all the amazing resources in Stowe, the beautiful mountains, the incredible hotels, the people who know how to host people in a very healing way, and Stowe really knows how to do that. And we wanted to take that and put that together with people from the Vermont Cancer Center who know how to educate people about cancer, who take care of people with cancer every day, but they do it in a medical and research facility. And we wanted to bring them to Stowe and just let it all happen. What happens when you put a researcher who's in his family clothes and hasn't got his white coat on, and you put them in a room with patients, a classroom, this all happens in classrooms, and let them talk about cancer in a totally informal situation. I'm a cancer survivor. Even though I'm a doctor, I know what it's like to be in a sterile exam room with a Johnny on, scared out of my mind, because this person who, for me, my doctors are my good friends and they're here because I've roped them in to teach. I know what it's like to be a person with cancer who's frightened, but I'm also a physician who knows that we can make this easier for people. We can make having cancer be less hard for the person with cancer. We can make it easier for their spouses, for their children. And that's where Stowe comes in. It's a vacation place. So people come here and they party. You know, they celebrate life, they go to traps, they hang their flags in the field. This is a fun weekend. This is not a weekend about being sad. This is a weekend about celebrating life, going to the bike path. But it's very organic. So every year it's slightly different people volunteering. So they come to the table with a different set of things that they're going to volunteer to offer for free.
So it truly becomes a weekend of hope.
Oh, that's definitely the goal, yeah. And when we do the closing ceremony at Trapp Family Lodge Concert Meadow, which is of course famous for the sound of music, what more hopeful story can you possibly find than that, and inspirational as well. And we bring music, we bring dance, we bring a healing prayer that's written by a Lakota medicine man, and we dedicate those flags of hope and healing. And tomorrow's going to be a beautiful day. And I've got to say that 7 years we've done it, and 6 years we've had beautiful weather. And
Yep.
it's like, well, you guys bring the energy. All the cancer survivors bring the energy, and their families, and God smiles on us, definitely, because it's that. We go out on a song that's an up song, and everybody's dancing, and there's nothing like seeing a bunch of cancer survivors dancing across the meadow at Trapp Family Lodge. You can't help but feel hope. Absolutely.
Well, as a cancer survivor, my first year out, I discovered this. And I have to say that my heartfelt thanks, just because it was so helpful in that stage, being just out of the hospital and coming and being able to talk to people who had gone through the same experiences that I had, and having my wife Terri with me, and she was able to talk to people who were caregivers and compare experiences. It makes all the difference in the world, and what you're doing here is truly a wonderful and unique thing for cancer survivors.
It's for all cancers. That's very unusual. Usually,
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the people that started this the first year were all breast cancer survivors, and it started off being for people with breast cancer, and it was a sort of a Mother's Day thing. And those of us said, no, this is too special. This has to be for everybody. This is for people with any type of cancer, you know. A lot of the people who work on it happen to be breast cancer survivors, but this is for everybody. And that's the inclusivity is at the core of this. And, you know, as you said, for your wife to be here is really important. Cancer doesn't happen to just one person. It happens to everybody that loves that person, who's the one that happens to be diagnosed with it. So we need things for everybody that loves that person. We need things for their children, for their spouse, for their parents. So sometimes it's a kid with cancer and the parents are here learning. And it's very organic, and that, like you came 1 year and got something, now you're giving back. You're making this special for the next group of people.
It's all a circle.
It's all a circle, and we've really tried to recognize that circle and give people ways to stay engaged.